Okay, Hannie, so how long have you lived in Fitzroy?
Well, I came here after university.
Yeah.
I did 1 year mandatory time in college, university college, to get out of to get out of home.
Yeah.
And then I moved into Fitzroy, and that would have been in about 1975.
Yeah.
And I've been here pretty much
Yeah.
ever since.
So you would have seen a lot of changes in Fitzroy in that time?
I think it's sort of, sure, it's a much more expensive place to live. It's been gentrified. It's had its avant-gardism kind of commodified, really.
Yeah.
But not hellishly.
Yeah.
Not enough to make them want to move out. And of course there are more people who come here as tourists and all of that. But there's a certain sort of streetwide pride in being a local.
Yeah. So when you say that it's had its avant-garde commodified, what do you mean by that?
I mean that Fitzroy is a place for artists, writers and filmmakers, and a lot of people and there are a lot of Brunswick Street, I suppose, the main shopping strip, have the sense that this is an enclave of artists has been milked for commercial purposes. That's what I mean. That people come to Brunswick Street to, because there's a certain kind of vibe here, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that's been modified into things that people can buy.
Yeah.
But it's not. It hasn't become a sort of Ken Done type of Fitzroy.
Yeah.
It still retains some of its original ratbaggery, larrikinism.
Yeah. So would you say that Brunswick Street is sort of a bit of an outsider's view of what Fitzroy's about?
That's good. Not entirely. I think it isn't entirely, because it's where we eat and hang out, and I know the names of shopkeepers and all of that. So no, but on the weekends it's impossible to get a coffee or anything. It's so busy. But I don't know that I'm sure there are a million faces of Fitzroy, really, and Brunswick Street is one of them, but it's the one I identify with Fitzroy. Because I suppose personally I'm not using any of the services once my child goes to school at the high school in Parkville, University High, so it's not used. When he was younger, there was the primary school, and then there was all the things that you did as a young mum, you were involved in, so that kind of plugs you into a community more. The other thing, Brunswick Street is central, and also the swimming pool. That's where we go in the summer. That's how, and that you're part of community because you know people there.
Were you involved in the campaign to stop the swimming pool being closed down?
I certainly was, and my son was. And then 2 years ago, my husband and I wrote a play called Aqua Profunda, which was on at the town hall, and it had 120 school children from North Fitzroy Primary School. And I wrote it with the kids, and he directed it. And there was a parent band in it as well. It was really a story about, we kind of tweaked the story so that it was about how the children marched on City Hall to save the day. The story with the pool is that during the time when Jeff Kennett sort of dispensed with democracy and appointed commissioners rather than elected representatives to run local council, the commissioners in their wisdom decided that they would sell the pool to the locals. Got up in arms about that, and there were fantastic demos, and the children all tied yellow ribbons on the fences outside the pool and were involved too. And writing the play with them as well, it was a really joyous experience, but it was also a kind of a real gesture of a celebration, I suppose, of how children were empowered by their political might. They had a sense that culture is not immutable, that things can change. And that seemed to me to be what was so empowering, wonderful about both the actual what happened and the celebration of the play.
So would you say that Fitzroy is a home to artists, or its cultural output is something that makes it unique and helps to form its identity and community?
I think so. There are a lot of artists living here. I wonder if the young artists, I'm not too sure. I've owned my house for a while, so I think ritual markets, but I'm sure it's pretty prohibitive, really, for people who are at art school to be here, and that's always sort of tragic to me. I mean, when I first moved into here, into Fitzroy, we had a house that had no hot water in the kitchen. How I didn't actually die of, some salmonella or botulism or something is a miracle, really. But it was ours. It was our house. It was glorious. We had as much fun as you can poke a stick at, and it's been like that living in Fitzroy. I like being part of whatever it is, this thing that is here.
Yeah. So what would you see as the major threats to what you like about Fitzroy?
Well, I think the potential for the freeway to be expanded in Alexander Parade, and that this then becomes just an angry kind of roadway. It's already really hard to get around. I mean, we use bikes pretty much, and but we do have one car. But the traffic jams and all that stuff, so I think that's a real threat. People coming from the needing to roar in from the outer suburbs, and the extension to that freeway will find that it's awful. I mean, Fitzroy's in a dip, so there is a kind of issue with car fumes, and I know that there is a particular crossing in Fitzroy, which is probably the most polluted place in Australia. So that bothers me. There's also, it's a sort of mecca for a lot of drugs, and that means kind of crime, and we're always seeing kids running down the lane with somebody else's handbag and stuff like that endlessly over our back fence. There's people's number plates and wallets and rah-de-rah. And I mean, and actually, Fitzroy Safeway is a bit like Deliverance. You're there sometimes and you think, Jesus, I'm the only sort of person who's relatively normal here. And you watch someone trying to press the pads, their spot pads, and you think, and this person's so out of it, can't press the numbers. And, sometimes that's really panicky. You just think the world is collapsing, actually. That's sometimes how I feel about it when I'm in Fitzroy Safeway. And I'm joking about it, but it causes me distress. Enormous distress about what's happening in the proliferation of drugs and stuff. So that's certainly a threat to a sense of harmony about Fitzroy, in the sense of it being a happy place to be. It's a place of desperation and despair. And sometimes we walk along the street, and all along the road there's little tiny fragments of windscreen glass, and it's like the tears of despair to me. People breaking and entering cars, for mobile phones, for money, whatever. It's they're all tears on the roadway. So, but that's not just Fitzroy. That's happening everywhere.
So do you think this is one way to articulate the process known as globalisation in the local community, like the rise of maybe drug use or crime, even distribution of wealth or these sort of things?
I think it's all here, all of those things actually. It's a microcosm of the effects on communities of globalisation. It's a sense in which community is being really devalued, and that people feel disaffected from political processes, that they that are sort of utter kind of powerless to be able to change their circumstances. And here in Fitzroy, I would assume, even though one other thing I've really noticed is how many homeless people there are. And even, I suppose as the weather has improved, at the grandstand the other day when I was exercising, I was running around the grandstand and there were people sleeping in the grandstand. And, you know, that's sort of new, really, just seeing people in bus shelters and stuff like that. So, as you say, the discrepancy between have and have-nots will be mirrored here.
Yeah. This is the grandstand in North Fitzroy?
Yeah. Yeah. And bus shelters and in the parks. And they're not just people who've fallen over drunk. They're people who've prepared for, you know, they've got a kit, you know, for sleeping out.
Yeah.
So the more that happens and the more that, you know, brings home a sense of the kind of base of homelessness, really. Hidden.
Yeah. And I suppose there's also in Fitzroy a threat to its diversity that most people seem to celebrate, you know, through chain stores moving in, car parks.
That's right, yes. But I guess the sort of local is, you know, is the small and the idiosyncratic and, you know, and the larrikin and the tea and all of those things that you value about a community like this is not apparent in Starbucks or or McDonald's or any of those kind of big franchises that have no personality.
Yeah.
One of the things I think was interesting with the election result was that there was a 10% swing against Lindsay Tanner, and I think that this is, I mean, for the first time in my life I voted Green, and everybody I know seemed to have done that in this area. And partly we did it because we probably felt traditional Labor voters felt that Lindsay Tanner was safe and to get back in, but that it was actually an appropriate thing to do to actually exercise a protest vote and, you know, write Tampa across the ballot paper, you know, indicating that in fact that the Labor Party's stand on the refugee, the asylum seekers was absolutely piss weak and reflected a kind of inhumanity that most of us felt ashamed about to our core. And so it will impact on Fitzroy because it is a place I think that has welcomed migrants through its history, lived history, and you know, living in Fitzroy, you know what migrants bring. It's not just some notional sense of diversity. It's because you are in contact with people on a daily basis, people who you buy your bread from and you get your coffee from, and you know, who fix your car and all that stuff. And it actually is, you know, children who come to your house because they're friends of your children and all that. And so it's probably very dear to people's hearts, you know, that that we remain as such, as a place that welcomes.
Yeah, so for many new migrants to Australia, Fitzroy is their first vision of Australia, their first community they see as well.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, you don't, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never really seen overt racist graffiti or any of that kind of stuff here, so it feels to me to be a reasonably tolerant place. And that seems to be what's kind of being deeply undermined. I mean, the general value, I would say, about which is to do with globalisation, is that the only thing that we cannot tolerate, and we will not tolerate, is intolerance. And, you know, if anyway, so I guess there is a new mood of thought that 77% of people thought that it was good that those people were turned away.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.